Alright, so we are going to go ahead and get started. So we ended up getting the run higher on the S&P that we wanted to see, clearing out these highs right here. And simultaneously, we also took out the previous week's high right here, creating a monthly cycle sequential SMT, while the NASDAQ was lackluster and created a failure swing on top of this high right here, creating a monthly cycle and a weekly cycle sequential SMT. So the Dow has yet to trade above this high right here. This high being the previous week's high, creating a failure swing, being a monthly cycle sequential SMT. So this is a two-stage sequential SMT, being bearish. And as you can see, right as we created this, some market news came out in Asia session, which offered downside movement. So now, using weighted probabilities and all of that good stuff, we can expect lower prices to come. But looking on the lower time frame, we can see that there is this non-sequential daily cycle SMT. So personally, there is a good chance that this is only serving as a retracement for a higher time frame continuation. We'll keep it gray. Also, I forgot to mention the draw on liquidity for the day, which the furthest I see today going down to probably be this low right here for the NASDAQ, this low right here on the S&P, and this low right here on the Dow. Which, as we can see, what is special about these lows? Unsymmetrical. Exactly. I don't even have to say it. The 1 hour TPD is just solidifying the retracement, which the invalidation level for the day will have it be this right here. I think people get validation. I think people have a misconception of what I mean with the invalidation levels for the day. This doesn't mean, enter right now and then put your stop loss right here and then target the target for the day. I mean, you very well could, like for 1-to-1 risk to reward or like a 1 to 1.5, you very well could do that. The invalidation level for the day is supposed to be the thing that's going to tell you your daily bias is wrong or your narrative is wrong. So there's no chance in, you trying to continue pushing what you want to see on the markets. That's the purpose of the invalidation level. Because if we, like I said, I want to see this serve as a retracement. Are we retracing so far? Yes. To where? A gap. So if all assets break above this gap and trade to this high right here, there's a very good chance that we're not going to come all the way back down in the morning session and then come take out this low. So that's the significance of the invalidation level. But it's not to get confused with, this is where your stop loss should be for the morning session. Because that's going to come from the lower time frame and the actual setup you're taking. I'm more focused on the 1 hour gap. There's a good chance we'll leave this unfilled. We can expect a 90-minute in that 1 hour gap for continuation. Yep. In terms of strength and weakness, let's see. The Dow is going to be strongest, the Nasdaq is going to be weakest, and the S&P is going to be in the middle. And something you'll notice is generally the S&P is the one that's in the middle more times than not. And this leads back to what I said about it a couple live streams ago with the S&P is going to be the most steadiest. It's going to have the most steadiest delivery. So if you ever don't know about strength and weakness, a good rule of thumb is the S&P. Do you think the 90-minute TPD here is the start of the drop? I don't even really look at 90-minute TPDs, to tell you the honest truth. But it would just add on to what we already want to see. With seeing a 90-minute cycle S&T inside of this gap. Can sequential SMT occur on the invalidation level in just one asset? Yes, so that's why I say for invalidation levels, we need to see all of the assets take out this high, not just one. Because if all of them, this high in particular is London Sessions high, so if all of the assets take out this high right here, then that leaves no room for any SMT to form on this high. Which if all assets break above this high, what's the next area of price? Up here. Going to these highs. And now we play our favorite game. Does anybody know what our favorite game is? Is the sound messed up? Are we good? Okay. Let me get a 1. Let me see who can hear me. So not that many people can hear me. probably going to stop and start the stream again because only like 3 people can hear me. We're good now? There we go. It's like I was saying, now we get to finally play our favorite game. Does anybody know what our favorite game is? Yeah, I gotta turn on that. Our favorite game is musical chairs. No, I'm feeling good today. So here's the plan. We're gonna reverse psychology the market. Alright? We're gonna put a magnet there. So then price is gonna trade higher and then go here. And then create the Kraken correlation and then fall. And then we're gonna take the magnet off. We're outsmarting. Why does this one sound so grainy? There we go. Want to predict the failure swing? If I had to guess, probably say the S&P. Would you consider today to be good, even though it's a no news Friday? It's gonna be. There's a chance we'll just see consolidation, which would be unfortunate, but there's always that chance. Do you trade any turtle soup or just continuations? I can do both. But if I had to pick for which one's my favorite, continuations. Potentially, yeah. 15-minute forming inside of the gap. Then that would lead more so to the micro. We did the drop lower. But I'm not considering this just because you gotta keep in mind we have volatility that's about to hit. So this could, this inside of here could just get completely wiped out. bearish because of a lot of factors. Lots of multiple different cracks and correlations at the high end of the range. If we get to delivery target, we're going to have a high and the low in the same half. Yes, which is very, very rare. Would you say this monthly SMT is confirmed after daily TPD could carry on to next week potentially? Is the entire New York session the highest probability in the day, or is it mostly 9th and 30? It's going to be mostly 9th and 30. I wanted Tuesday and Wednesday to remain the low of the week for this week, just for the weekly split to be respected. What about my analysis here is wrong? I might be putting too much weight on wanting the week to respect the split, which is why today I wanted to see consolidation, despite the monthly and weekly cycle. Well, in low probability conditions, because remember, there's a lack of news events, things aren't going to make sense. We've already been over this. The weekly split is going to help you gauge the chart. It's going to help you gauge the concepts, the cracks and correlations. That's thing number one. If the concepts are, I'll just say, telling you, hey, I'm doing this and I'm not going to respect this, don't try to stand in its way. So you didn't do anything wrong, like analysis-wise. It was just an abnormal week. Typically, we don't see weeks like this, or we don't see characteristics within a week like this. It's not every week you see, this and then run higher and then boom, 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 and then all that. I don't even know how we got on the topic of this, but we're always expecting sequential SMT between the halves, or SMT do. Always expecting SMT between, it's a multitude. So you're either going to have it within one half, it's going to tell you, expansion, to where the low of the week or the high of the week is in the same half on all of the assets, or you're going to have it between the actual halves. Let's say Wednesday and Thursday, Wednesday's first half, Thursday's second half. If you have an SMT between Wednesday and Thursday, then on one asset, Wednesday is going to be the low of the week. On another asset, Thursday is going to be low of the week. That's the second variation. Say the weekly split is 2-3. Does the time to reversal in this case, weekly SMT, has to be either the days in the weekly half, or does it have to be between, or can it be weekly sequential SMT between any day? Pretty sure I just answered that within the previous statement. Usually trading CPI, like getting to trade the day before it, the trade itself, or usually wait for what? If it's clear beforehand, I'll enter beforehand. Like if the day before I offer something, went through some old day lessons. Do you regularly use doubling theory, sequential SMT, combining 2/4 to a half? Or is this what weekly halving is derived from? No, I don't use doubling. Weekly halving is just taking the week and, splitting it down the middle. Being like, okay, how do I derive the weekly candles open, high, low, and close? So all your understanding just from the lectures today was making for us, or did you have some secret one-on-one sessions with him? All of the things I know, I'm gonna be honest. I only watched every day lecture, and I missed probably I think I missed like two out of all of them. I only watched every single day lecture once. I only watched them once, but after every single thing, I go back in the charts and look for the things that he was talking about. And then through time, I found other things. And then those things led to other things. Were you profitable before QT? Before QT, like a couple months before it, I was getting to that stage. It's like pretty much right there at it. But QT definitely put that nail in the coffin. What about BTC all-time highs? For crypto analysis, like I said, if Ethereum were to take out that high that we'd outlined, then invalidated, likely not going to see lower prices anymore, which it did, and that's fine. We're not going to get wrong 100% of the time. So for crypto, I don't really hold any crazy analysis right now, but I wouldn't recommend buying at all-time highs. Did you start with your own funds, or did you start with prop firms? Started with prop firms, but the thing is with prop firms is that's just a handicap. That's not a destination. Live accounts are going to be far better than prop firms. What is the draw on liquidity? There you go. The 4-hour low. These lows right here. That's not irrational. Did you fund your live accounts with prop firm wins? Any advice? It was a mixture of multiple things to fund the live account. But any advice is, firstly, you gotta know that you can actually, stay with it for a good amount of time. Because trading live and trading prop is two completely different things. Thing is with prop entices you to gamble. It entices you to go in there and then, be drunk on leverage. The thing is with a live account, you kind of can't do that due to the fact if you, blow the account, you can't just click a reset button and then, we're back. So any advice to that would be, put together like a $3,000, $4,000 account, whatever the case may be, and just prove that you can hold an account for 3 months. No matter what the outcome is. Like you could be up 1%, 2%, 3%, or even like 40%. But if you can't hold the account for 3 months, probably shouldn't be trading live. And that's what I mean with those prop firms. They're not good in the long run because it gets you thinking in you're thinking in terms of how can I beat the casino instead of how can I plan ahead and plan for the future and the longevity. Because if you're like five, if let's say half of your drawdown is gone in a prop firm, we'll take a vote of hands right now. Let's say you're in a prop firm thing. We'll say it's the prop firm quote unquote funded account. Right? We made it past the evaluation, and it's with Top Step. $2,000 in drawdown. You have $3,000. No, is it? Don't you have like $1,000? No. Do you have $1,000 left? All right. We'll say you're $1,500 in drawdown. You have $500 left. Is that what it is? Is it 3K or 2K for the max loss? For the 50K account. Okay. So your $1,500. Oh, it's only $1,500 you can lose? What? That's actually wild. But anyway, let's say you're $1,000 in drawdown, right? And then you have $500 left. How many of you would come into that following day or the next trading day and just say, you know what? Fuck it. I don't care anymore. I'm going in there. I'm pushing the button. I'm either losing this account or I'm making it all back. So that's why, prop firms, they're not good for the longevity thing. Because you can't do that with a live account. Louise is the exception. Scared money don't make money. Yeah, until you lose 100 grand in a day. Then you'll be psych ward money. How do you see this 90-minute cycle? Would prefer it to form. Monthly SMT, daily TPD, on top of weekly cycle SMT. Those are all of the factors. Is a 90-minute the main thing you're looking for right now, or are you concerned about possible daily? I'm not concerned about it daily. I don't think we'll form a daily. Let's see you build capital with prop firms. One day you can fund yourself. How much would you put into a live account to grow it? To grow it? To be honest, you can put 25K inside of a live account and risk like 3%. If you're able to pull out 25 grand from a prop firm, chances are you know what you're doing. So I would say put 25 grand into a live account, risk about 2 to 3%, and also trade prop at the same time. If you really wanted to ramp things up. Just had a question regarding acquiring private capital from an investor after proving consistency from payouts on prop. What would you say would be the best approach to achieve something like, or is it not necessary? Private investors don't per se take those firms very serious from my experience. Yeah, Darwin X is going to be your best bet if you wanted to do something like that. Why is there no new week opening gap this week on the indicator? Due to the fact it was a bank holiday. You're trading only personal? Are you doing something with other people's money? As of right now, only personal. But in the future, I would, like I said, analyst. I would be an analyst. If there's anybody out there that needs an analyst, Jim Cramer does need one. How come you don't trade props while you're at it to milk them too? Because I hate props. Once you move to live, you'll understand. Props, it's not gonna be worth your time. It's too tedious. The rules are too just. Ugh. It's not worth it. The alpha leaderboard, isn't alpha like a thing? Oh, funded thing. Alpha Futures. I think they reached out to me one time. They sound familiar. Alright, it's that time that we gotta lock in. So we have all of the assets trading higher, pumping upon the open, which is very interesting. I'll be interested to see of how this 5 minute candle closes. Could be a potential hidden here. But the main thing that's important is going to be how this hourly candle respects this gap on Nasdaq. I'm not concerned about it coming back all the way up here, because it very well could close back within the scope of this gap, and if it does that, then we're good. And this is why I always say wait for 930. That's why I always say wait for 930. Because the people that were in shorts beforehand, you guys, there's a chance you were on side. There's a chance we could see this downside movement. But that 930 comes in and then boom, hits you out. Yeah, the S&P is going to be strongest to the downside. Well, the Dow is technically strongest to the downside. It's my lifting split. Push. I got a PhD in push-pull legs. How would you suggest to know we are ready to trade higher balances if you can show consistency on the lower balances? At the end of the day, it's just a numbers game. That's all it is. It's not anything, crazy. It's just a numbers game. Risking $1 for a $100 account is the same thing as risking $1,000 on a $100,000 account. Same thing as risking $10,000 on $1 million account. The only difference is just going to be your psychological. That's it. But it's something you have to graduate to mentally. You can't just jump from risking $1 to risking $10,000. So how do you, build that stepping stone? You just have to have time and experience, exposure. That's why I said in the beginning, what did I say? Put like $3,000, $5,000 into account. See where it takes you after 3 months. Trading the lowest leverage. If you can do that for 3 months, okay, now you're exposed to live funds. Now you know how it feels because live funds and prop, two different ball fields. So we have the hidden SMT. So I'd like to see this be the catalyst. And it is a precision swing point. So I'll go to our handy dandy 1 minute chart. See if we can find anything. See if we can find a gap or something to use. Trade lower. So something like this micro SMT. Look at the micro, because we already have everything we need from the higher time frame. There we go. I'm not per se considering this micro SMT, the Dow. If anything, I like to see this act as SMT market structure shift, due to the fact that we have this, the high end of the range. All right, where are we at in chat? How important is hidden SMT? Sometimes we look for it, sometimes we do not. It's important whenever we see, just like how we saw all of the assets, expand and then go above this high. But which one did we say was likely to create the actual SMT? NASDAQ. So, if we're expecting lower prices, then like I said, keep into account what I say about, the 1 hour open, high, low close. As long as it stays within the parameters of this gap, we're good. Okay, that's going to be the closure of the candle. What is the closure of the candle? Hidden SMT. What do we have? Hidden SMT. Boom. It looks like we're about to get that gap. MQ is stronger? Not necessarily. We'll see. I do have the Dow offering a gap, which I kind of looked over. Make it red. So we'll see if it'll just run, which it looks like it's just gonna run. We'll have this outline right here. There's a chance it might just run without us, which is fine. We'll just have to wait for another one. Because order flow and delivery is pretty strong right now. All right, retracement side of the gap. Hit it by the tick. Where would you put your stop in this situation? Right here. Retrace inside of that gap. It'd be here. On the menu, yeah, it was quick. Hit it literally by the tick. So NASDAQ's probably going to leave this gap unfilled. That's what I would want to see. From this point forward, I wouldn't want to see it to come back inside of the gap. Don't want to see that. I want to see speed. Now we wait for another one. Could potentially get another one. We're in the reversion level on the 1 hour TPD. I think that's why it's slowing. Just a little bit of traction. You're always going to find a little bit of traction on the rails. Is putting stop loss past the 5-minute PSP too high risk if I'm shooting for the 4 hour lows? I always look to enter on the 1 minute time frame and have your stop loss there too. Well, risk parameters are going to be a little bit different if you're entering, above here. If you're entering here, like this, going like this, and this, it's still 1-to-1 or 1.3. So, I mean, you're fine. But if you wanted to frame a lower time frame risk entry to the higher time frame reward, then dropping down to 1 minute chart and doing what I just did right there is going to be your best bet. Because if you are able, like if you're your finger was on the trigger and you were stalking and waiting, that's the 1-to-3. So we have the dial taking out this low right here. So I'd like to see this act as our favorite condiment. Play catch up. Would a 1 minute in this situation be considered a continuation? Yeah. Do you usually like to look for a 1 minute gap to enter off a higher time frame CSD, such as the 5 minutes enter? Yeah. But there's only a specific time that I look at the 1 minute. And you guys know what time frame that is. Or not time frame, but you guys know what that time period is. Exactly. 9:30. Like, this is the time frame I started on. This is my natural element right here. Farthest that I think the daily range will expand to would be here. This is like the absolute farthest it's going. I don't, unless, a bomb gets dropped somewhere, which if it does, don't question me. But if something breaks down and we trade past this high, or not this high, but if we trade past this low, then we're going to have other issues to worry about. Even then, it might be questionable whether or not we'll actually be able to reach down there. Maybe on the Dow. Nasdaq trading inside of the gap. Not necessarily something I'd like to see after we've had some steady delivery. Not too bad of a retracement. But I wouldn't consider this the same I would as something like this, where it's, quick. It's still a viable entry, just not as high probability compared to like a gap like this, where the S&P, only a couple more candles and then boom, it's in, out. Nasdaq's in a 5-minute gap. Yep. See what I mean? Not something I'd like to see. Yeah, as long as this hourly closes respect to this gap, we're good. So now, at this point in time, this is where we get a little bit, a little bit iffy in terms of gauging direction. We could form another cracking correlation right here at this high. Potentially. Look at the Dow though. Hit our, what is this? Hit our resistance perfectly. I'm gonna call this resistance. Hit our resistance perfectly, went right to support, bounced off support. Boom. You guys have been learning support and resistance this entire time. It's all been a lot. Maybe a 1 hour CSD at 10, potentially. Still considering daily cycle with London. That's a possibility. Right now, everything is a possibility. Exactly. It's easy, guys. All you have to do is buy low and sell high. It's the name of the game right there. Exactly. The supply and demand. Is it because it's low probability that could be everything is a possibility? Yeah. We're now back just within a range. Which, this run wasn't bad. If you got this, took a partial, rolled stop to break even, you're good. What are some rules you have for taking, not trading, even if you potentially see something like this to cut losses, or the number of stages, like no news or what else? Just having trouble with taking too many small losses that chip away at my wins. So knowing when to take something, when to not take something, that's going to be, like I said, that's going to be something that you're going to have to figure out. But if you're confident in a setup, like if something's really like putting aside, oh, I think it's gonna go down here, so therefore just because I think it's gonna go down there, I'm gonna enter. Like if something's really there and there's conviction behind it, then by all means, like, go for it. Besides the FVG, to see SMT or TBD occur in would be the same time frame. IFVG be of importance. Yeah, same thing goes for inverse gaps. Which this next candle close right here is going to be pretty important. So we have the NASDAQ trading above this high, making another crack in correlation. May create a daily cycle sequential SMT. Maybe. We'll see. As of right now, like I said, we need to wait. We got a portion of this run down here, but price reverse on us. We came into the day expecting, bearish price action, so I'm not going to try to force anything. When entering from a gap, do you wait for a reaction confirmation, or do you just enter like catching a falling knife? Like catching a falling knife. I'm entering while it's retracing. You guys want to know why price didn't go towards these lows? Wait, no, did I take it off? Oh, I wish I still had it on the screen. That'd been funny. Got a 4-hour TPD. No, it didn't. From my perspective, it's not too high probability to sell after the previous day low was taken. That could be a reason why the sell was not to HP. Yeah, London session had already retraced a good bit, or not retraced, but London session and Asia session had already expanded a good bit. So what I wanted to try to get was this run lower to this low, and the Dow did deliver, but good old S&P and NASDAQ not going to the full target again. No, this candle, no. So what would we like to see now? Right now, like I said, it's a waiting game. And we don't want to try to impose our will on the market. We need to see it's actually wants to still do what we want to see it do. To invalidate the idea completely, all assets need to trade above this high. This is going to invalidate the idea. All of the assets trade above here. And speaking of the 1 hour gap right here with NASDAQ, since NASDAQ is the strongest one for upside, it's okay that it closed through this gap. It's not really a big concern. Like I said, the only importance is if all of the assets do it. Form a 15-minute TPD inside the 1 hour FVG, the 90-minute SMT. Would you consider that for shorts even though NASDAQ closed above the 1 hour? Yeah. Tapering scheduled for next week. I'll have to see it. Likely Tuesday and Wednesday. CPI on a Tuesday means lower volatility for CPI, yeah. Bounce back Tuesday. And I'm just gonna keep this here. I'm tired of seeing this grind higher and higher and having to adjust it. One hour TPD between. Let's look. Between NQ and Dow, yeah. But the only thing is, whenever you have the weakest asset and the strongest asset, and you see a TPD, these tend to be a little bit iffy. in the state of a decoupling, which for the S&P, if the S&P were to potentially like create a 90-minute off of this, like just kind of stay stagnant and then 1030 pop above, that would be the best case to kind of solidify that. But chances of that happening are pretty low. Back and forth chop. Yep. Pretty much. And even to get alongside this run, like there was no real way of even getting alongside this upside. On a lower time frame chart, maybe on a 5-minute. Even here would have been difficult. This is not even a proper daily cycle. View it like this, right? If you see a trade or something in the market and you miss it, ask yourself, if I took this exact same thing 100 times over, like the exact scenario, would it have a profitable outcome? Meaning, if you took the exact same setup, the same criteria 100 times over, would you have a positive result over those 100 times, adding them all together? If the answer is no, then chances are you did a good thing by skipping out on a setup. If that's what I think you're talking about with this SMT right here. The daily for the downside. I don't see it delivering as hard as this bullish run. Well, we'll see. Like I said, the only thing that's going to be important is going to be how the day closes. Because we could form this daily cycle. Like I said, all of the assets need to trade above this high for it to be invalid. So the Nasdaq just now hitting this could be the catalyst for the S&P now offering a run. Yeah, signed off and it went. Which, for the person that was going to say 15-minute PSP forming, probably talking about with the Dow, I wouldn't consider this due to the fact if we take this and this, we can see that it was formed in discount, while NASDAQ is trading in premium. Would you want to see the S&P take the 15-minute high as well then? Not necessarily. The 15-minute TPD is formed here. Do you think it's going to be a good reversal point? Yeah, 15-minute TPD forms here. That would be pretty optimal. It's just, like I said, it's just a waiting game now. Planning to go live again later, yeah. Probably gonna wrap things up here at 10:30 though. I believe during the learning phase, it's important to stay focused on following the trading strategy rather than the financial outcome. Today I took a loss, but I entered the trade with about 90% alignment to my current strategy. The mistake is that I should have entered on the S&P. And yeah, that is very true. Learning the process and following the process and building yourself into the trader that you need to become, like, the money will follow. Trust me, once you get to a certain point, you're going to realize, okay, I can do this consistently. So, given enough time, if I stick with XYZ, then I'll get this result. It's just that initial beginning is going to be the hardest because you kind of have to rewire yourself into, like I said, building the trader that you want to be. And that leads to another thing. Is you are human. You're gonna get it wrong sometimes. It is what it is. Because one funny thing I notice is that whenever I do get it wrong, and not even necessarily whenever I do get it wrong, or like we'll get in a really good price run like today, right? And then price will reverse, just unexpectedly reverse, and now it's reversing. There's everybody saying, oh, this was the reason why, this was the reason why, this was the reason why, da 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 da. But the thing is, though, in the moment, did you see that? Is that really a part of your strategy, or are you doing this thing called cognitive bias, where if you seek, you shall find? Because it's easy to go in hindsight and be like, yeah, this was the reason why price turned. But in the moment, you weren't considering that at all. -1 hour week for me. Bad considering the week was so back and forth. Feel like I've gotten much better. Yeah. And this week was like that. Like if we look this entire week, it's just more so a consolidated week. Not bad for day trading. But weekly expansion, not the best. It's the last chance for today. We need a 15-minute TPD. All assets are in premium. It needs to be the next 2 candles, preferably. Could have done a lot better. As long as you know what you should have done and you actually put the effort in to fixing it, you're good. But the only important thing is going to be how the day closes. That's really going to give us direction. And also next week. Next week is going to bring a lot of clarity. Do you ever count candles to see how fast a reversal PD array occurs? Not necessarily for the number of candles' sake, but more so to see how fast price displaces. Less candles to displace, faster, and vice versa. Yeah. Generally, with an SMT, we'll take this one at the bottom of the range. Even though it wasn't sequential, we'll still take this as an example for if this were a sequential SMT, what you would like to see is exactly what happened today. With, we formed the Kraken correlation, and then either that candle that creates the SMT or the one after expanding, that's going to be your best bet. That's like the highest probability, best case. If I see that, that's do you want a TPD to form a certain amount of candles after the sequential SMT as well? Yeah, preferably 1 to 3. The candle that creates the SMT being 1. Today said double is more powerful than sequential SMT. So weekly cycle SMT doubled. Daily cycle SMT doubled. Yeah, well, I don't use doubled SMT. From my personal experience using doubled SMT, it always failed. It's the same thing as any other Kraken correlation. If it's confirmed, you'll see it work. That's my humble experience. When you say confirm, you like there's a second stage, yeah. Yep. And that also leads me to a good topic. So, this week, some of you have pointed this out to me, but the quote-unquote doubled SMTs have been working. Just this week. As many of you know that have been with me for a while, I don't consider that. I don't use doubled SMTs. I don't like them. I don't do anything with them. The same system that I've been showcasing for these past 7 months, just because it's getting not necessarily beat, but it's not performing as well compared to something else in the moment right now, just this week, does that mean I should change everything completely? It's a very good lesson. Exactly. No. Sticking to a system, and sure, you might use doubled SMT, that might be your forte. By all means, if it's yours, go ahead. Same thing still applies to you. In cases and scenarios where price doesn't really deliver that well like you anticipate it to, and it just feels like the thing that you're using just is not working as well. That's normal. That's going to happen. But you still have to stay consistent and stick with it. Because changing up on what you know is just gonna kick the can down further down the road. Others cannot. They're just mixing too many things. Exactly. Could you say any SMT is valid if appropriate narrative is involved? Yes. Would you consider a CSD a Kraken correlation? No. Not a Kraken correlation, more of a displacement confirmation. Do you actually fill trades on Dow or just ES and NQ? Just ES and NQ. For reasons like this. Alright. The Dow is the most wild one out of all of them. And it's going to be the one that either expands a lot or doesn't move at all. There's not really an in-between with the Dow. So, instead of wanting to play guessing games, just be like, this day, I think it's going to deliver this day. Instead of worrying about that, just don't worry about it at all. Just stick with the S&P and the NASDAQ. They're more consistent. Can I be real with you? Depends what are we getting real about. Real spiel. I have a business and I'm unable to give myself to trading. What do you think I should do? It depends. How much are you taking home from the business? Like figure amount, not dollar amount. And also, on top of that, are you seeing results? Annually 1 mil. If that's take home, like after business profits, business expenses, like things like that, whatever. I would say, and yes, you are seeing results in trading. Okay. I would say go to more of a position size. Yeah, swing trade, position trade. Don't focus more so on intraday because you have to run that. You need time to run the business. But if you're doing well off and trading is more so a nuance to you instead of something you see beneficial, then I would say, you know, you don't really have to worry about it. The whole point of trading is to get you from point A to point B. And then once you're at point B, use the money you make, get to point C. Yeah, he's definitely a drug dealer. Man, well done. Yeah, but you created outside business, or you're continuing an outside business. I would say just focus on that. It's all about looking, the best move on the board. If the money you make from that business is going to override what you make trading, especially intraday trading, and you need that time that you would have otherwise intraday trading to run the business, then run the business. It's all about where the money's at. We now consider daily cycle sequential SMT and 90-minute cycle now with Dow. It's still a little iffy. More so focus, see if we can get a precision swing point here. Today's new day opening gap. Potentially. But one characteristic that tells me this run is a little bit suspicious is that there are no clear gaps. Suspicious that we're going to come back all the way and still trade down to these lows in due time. And also use this as liquidity. Would you use S&P fill in this scenario for the 1 hour gap? If you're talking about this, due to the fact that we've already been trading inside of this gap a good minute, I wouldn't really pay too much attention to it. As a continuation trade idea started today from a 1 hour gap, price reversed from a 1 hour TBD, same weight cracks. Can we take this into consideration when in a trade for possible reversal points? Yes. You can. If I do business, I feel like I'm stuck to it like no days off. If I do trading, I feel like I can have some personal time to myself. How old are you? You're 20. Brother, you're 20. You got all the energy in the world. Use it. So now what confirmation would you look for to take a trade idea? Still looking to see how this candle closes. If you're 20, you have all of the energy required. And if it's hard, nothing good ever came from it being easy. Been scaling my own personal broker. Where's the point where I can go up on lots to where I don't mess up my risk? Well, the lot size and actual risk is going to be completely irrelevant. And I'll get to that in a second. Yeah. So there's a very high chance that we're going to come back to these lows right here. But we will see. We have original consolidation, first phase accumulation. If you know, then you know. Makes it high probability to come back to the lows. Just a multitude of things. Where I could be wrong. Could be that price range higher to get back above the true day open before selling off to those lows. For right now, no, I just prefer it to come back. If that's what you're getting at. Oh yeah, to trade above the true day, but yeah, that's a possibility. For the price run that we were wanting to see, though, I would have preferred it to just run. But it's fine. Like I said, you're not going to get it right every single time. It is what it is. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If I give my opinion on price 5 days out of the week, there's a 100% chance I'm going to get it wrong. Eventually. Yeah, it works. It works 60% of the time every time. I want to see this blue box act as a classic order block. One minute. One minute breaker in there as well. Took the trade before you mentioned it. I'm fired up. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this one here. So we'll see. Depending on how the day closes, we'll see everything that pans out. But hopefully you all found this one insightful. I will speak with you all again soon. With that being said, good luck and good trading.